My name is Rida Tharana, and this is me giving my second TED talk. And I thought the only time I would take up is if I find a very different and innovative, let's call it something out of the subject kind of a topic. So when they reached out to me, also the topic was something I was interested in, and it was freedom. So I thought, okay, how do I incorporate women with it? But how? How can we not incorporate women with it? Are we really free? Right? That's the question. So let's begin. I come from Coorg, from a very small town. I'm 24-year-old. And what are we free really? Every Independence Day, there's one post that comes up stating that, guys, are we really free? There's global warming, there's inequality, there's that, there's this. So that's one question out there. So I'm gonna take it entirely to my gender. As a woman, am I really free? And I'm going to start saying that. No, I'm not. And every walk of my life, every step I take, the society reminds me of it. The ideology of how a woman should be reminds me of it. And the expectations from people constantly remind me that, hey, you are actually not free. We are bound to certain things in a way that we just cannot get out of, or we're struggling, or we're talking about it at this point. We're three girls, and I'm the older one, and while growing up, gender was never something that we were spoken of. But one of the things that was constantly talked about regularly to my parents was, you have three girls, what are you going to do with them? As if though, like, if you're three girls, you probably need to sign up something or figure life out. But that's how it was constantly put out. You're three girls, you have to figure out marriage for them. Even little girls, when marriage was something that was constantly spoken of. Or how are you going to arrange money and dowry? Because if you are to get married to somebody, you need to give them something as a gift, even though they might not ask for this. And this is something that I kept growing up with, right? Constantly knowing the fact that as a woman, my parents have to gather something or constantly need to answer the society because we are supposed to be, at the end of the day, for someone. I always keep telling that, right? Women are with their parents. As girls, we're dependent on our parents. We're taught about marriage. We're prepared for it. You're sent to a good engineering college to get that degree, and then it's put up in your marriage invitation saying that, hey, Rida XYZ is an engineer who's looking for someone who's an engineer as well, but she'll make an amazing housewife because she knows her husband's an engineer, knows how hard it has been for him to study. She'll be a very understanding wife. And that's exactly what's been happening. Best and best of women who've gotten the best of education is just for their marriage invitation to state that this is why she's doing this. Eventually you need to end up getting married. All the, let's say, education that you've learned eventually goes on how to cook, how to clean, and how do I use my knowledge on the same. And if you, by any chance, stand out to be somebody who say, I am privileged enough because my family or my husband allows, let me concentrate on this word specifically, allows me to work, then you're probably waking up early in the morning at 6 o'clock, doing everything at home, cooking breakfast for yourself and for your husband, packing his tiffin, sending him off, going to your work, working for a 9-hour shift, coming back again, cooking for yourself, cooking for your husband, going back to bed, which is for I think 5 hours of sleep, and you wake up again. We did ask for this. We did tell that, hey, we want equality. We did get it, but in a way that we're just exhausting ourselves. Your parents are saving up for you to give the best education, while our parents are saving up to get me married off to someone with a lot of gold. One of the things that women lack is financial independence, freedom, right? When it comes to money. With all that we're talking, yes, we have women who are working. I have my sister working, I am working, a lot of them are working. But are women truly free once you start making money? Let me tell you. I started making money, I realized that, hey, this is a freedom that not a lot of people want women to have. Because once you start making your own money, you realize that, hey, I can actually take care of myself. I do not need anybody, and if one day anybody decides to abandon me, I can still rely on myself without having to think, should I go back to my parents, should I find a man to take care of me, or anything of that sort. Then later on when I started doing things, right, I realized I have responsibilities, I'm living by myself, I need to take care of things, I need to do all of that. For me, it has always been freedom of choice. I want a woman to be able to make decisions of herself, for her to choose what she wants to wear, what she wants to share, freedom of opinion, freedom of choice, decide whom she wants to marry, when she wants to marry, what's the course she would like to take, right? As I said, coming back to making money and making money. I got my father his second car this Jan, and I got it because, again, I wanted to get it for him. The relationship between my parents have always been proving them that I am capable of doing it. Came to Bangalore, I had to constantly prove that I'm not going to run away with a boy, because you're at the end attached to a man, right? What will you do to behave anymore? You'll obviously fall in love with a guy and run away with him. That did not happen. Then they thought I'd not be able to pay off the loan, the education loan that I took. I paid that off as well. That did not happen. Then they thought she'd not be able to make in life. How much can you really do? You study, then you work for some time, and then you're tired. That did not happen either. When I got in that car, that was the first time I was able to sit in the middle of all the men around me, okay? Not a single woman apart from myself. It's my father, my uncle, my aunt, my mamas, my chachus, and their sons as well, who are like very younger to me. They're literally in class 10th or 11th. But you do understand that they're there because of their gender and nothing else. While I sat there, one of the things that constantly hit me is, I am here just because I was able to get something as big as a car. Or else I would have to wait until they were done eating for me to walk in and take it. And the more I walk in, the more I realize that with 20 to 30, let's consider you're earning 35k, 40, and you're like working to get the highest package. You have the same skill as a man, but you're not getting paid for the same thing. You also have competition, right? While you're growing up, you realize that, okay, I'm doing this, but your lifestyle just ends up there. What's more to it? You don't have so much to work on it. Where will you invest? How will you do? Once you take up a vacation, you're done with the money that you have. That's when you realize that you don't have freedom of making decisions. You don't really, I'm pretty sure your father's not calling you up and asking that, hey, I just wanted to have your opinion on this particular decision, or can you make this decision for us? It's never been your say, but it has always been a say of a man, My son will anyways eventually take up the land, so I have to ask him his opinion. So when you make anything for that matter, you are weighed accordingly. As much as I would like to say do things for yourself, it's hard because we constantly are proving to society that we are worthy of what we can do, and we want to be put out there. We want to be called, or we want to be known for us and not for our gender. Like Instagram is one of the platforms I use to talk about this on a regular basis, and I realized that with women, right? Patriarchy is one of the things that still exists. It persists in a different way. Some of them are like upfront on your face that no, you cannot do this. Some of them come off like, hey, you're engaged, you can't dress like this. You're married women don't dress like this. You're old enough, you can't do this. And when things like these keep happening is when you realize that even in this generation, patriarchy still exists. For me, it was taught to me by my mother. She was the first one to instill that, hey, enough of education. Until the class 10th, that's more than enough. It's enough for you to teach your kids. I never knew I'd be able to stand up here on a stage and address this to a crowd at all if I were to believe her then that, hey, class 10th is more than enough. But yes, patriarchy is usually instilled by our women because that's how they're raised as well. We're conditioned into believing that this is how we should be. Let's consider another woman sitting out there with an entirely different mindset. I'm not saying that you have to agree with whatever I say. I'm not saying that at all. But they also have this superiority complex where they feel that I am entitled, I am good, while she is not, because she is not following what a woman has to follow or what a woman is expected of. And it's sad because women actually pull other women down, but that be in the corporate spaces, non-corporate spaces, this competition, right? And that's one of the things I feel is changing, right? We're coming together as a community where women are supporting women. Freedom from insecurities, body standards. Let's talk about the whole beauty standard that's lined up. You should be a certain way, you should be a certain kind. A skinny girl with a petite body, straight hair, fair skin is much more admissible and admirable than anybody out there. And it's stuck to us. While growing up, I hope it's not the same thing. I'm not being fond of my skin color, I'm not very happy with how I look, I've been constantly comparing myself to other people, stating that only if I was like them or I was like her, I would have been pretty. Men would find me pretty. I would have been accepted in the society. And later on I realized that I'm good. There's no one like me. But it takes so much from you, right? You have so much trauma from your childhood that it takes so much of your teenage years, so much of your adulthood to just figure out that I am a complete person all by myself without having to look like someone, without having to sound like someone, or without having to be like somebody. But for you to reach there, you've been constantly fighting a battle with people over and over again that, hey, please accept me even though I do not sit on the whole radar of beauty standards. But the whole idea for us is to just feel like that wanting, right? That need you have from time to time from another gender, feeling that only if I get validation from this person, probably I am pretty, probably I can live, or probably I can exist. And once you break out of that shell is when you know that, hey, I'm a human being all by myself. I always constantly think, will we ever reach a space where we'll have true equality? We'll never reach there, because we'll constantly have a set of people stating that, no, let's go back to the old age. Us as women are collectively coming together, asking for freedom, right? Standing up for ourselves, knowing that this is what we want. We're taking like more space, and that's okay. We as a community right now, most women that I know, and I'm happy with, because that's the kind of women I surround with and I want to be like, know that I do not need a man. It's not a necessity. I will not die if I don't have one, or perish if I don't have one, or feel like that's the end of my life. I want a man. If there is a man in my life, it's because I want him to be there. And tomorrow, if I decide that I do not want him, I can actually walk away. But women, once they learn how to actually take care of themselves without needing anybody. We are emotional beings, not denying it. We have attachment towards our family, towards people that we dearly love. We care and we want to protect them. But once we know that I am the one who will be taking care of myself when I fall back, I am the one who will hold myself when I have nobody, and I am the one who will stand up for me no matter what, it's end. And that's exactly what people do not want you to know, that you're actually capable of doing a lot of things all by yourself, but you're afraid, because once you do that, you're unstoppable. Sayonara, this is Rida Tharana.